Sublime magnificence.
Hey guys, you know who it is, what's going on, when it's happening, where it's at, and why we're here today. How you doing? It is I, the sublimely magnificent Big Ugly himself, Omari Ellis Feo Grande on YouTube, back with another episode that this guy hasn't seen. And as usual, I am joined by my co-host and runner mate, one of my best friends in the world, El Director himself, Bill Smith.
Hey Omari, thank you so much for having me back as always. Love being here, love doing this thing, trading stuff back and forth. We got the movies, we got the TV shows, we got whatever we want to trade. We trade it back and forth. It's like a little movie club where one guy has seen something, the other guy hasn't. We're broadening our horizons here in the sea of all this content out there. You got 6 different streaming services plus YouTube plus random internet sites, plus Instagram Reels, plus TikTok, plus YouTube. Again, because that was the first one was YouTube long form, and the second one was YouTube Shorts. In case you weren't aware of what was going on here, we're here to do this, and I'm really excited about it. Thank you so much for having me back, as always.
Yes, I am excited as well. And today we are doing something that not necessarily out of my comfort zone, but also was a new experience for me recently that I watched. I'll get into it in a second. It was, I believe, this year's Ultraman Rising.
Ultraman Rising from 2024. Ken Sato is a superstar baseball player who returns to Japan to become the latest hero to carry the mantle of Ultraman. However, he is compelled to raise a newborn kaiju monster, the offspring of his greatest enemy, as his own child. It is written and directed by Shannon Tyndall, also directed by John Oshima, and also written by Mark Hames. And then it stars a large group of voice actors because this is an animated film for us today. Omari, what brought you to Ultraman Rising?
So, yes, it's been established on the channel that I am what people would call a fan of anime. At various animes out there. However, that often gets construed to being like that I'm a connoisseur of all things Japanese media. Not to say that I have any biases against any part of Japanese media. I'm saying I'm not nearly as studied on some of the classics. Your
Right.
Sentai stuff, your Ultramans, your Kamen Riders, your Kaiju section of everything, I'm very not that versed on when it comes to Japanese culture. Ultraman, for one, I didn't even know Ultraman dealt with kaijus. I thought he was just a Power Rangers as superhero.
Yep. Same here, bud. Same here on what I was expecting. Yeah, didn't know. I knew the look of Ultraman, and I knew that he's been a Japanese superhero for a really long time, probably as long as Godzilla. And if I thought long enough, I might have even said there might have even been like an Ultraman versus Godzilla thing that I've seen, like
That's how I
that
felt when I
exists
first watched this.
in my
Well,
in my life. But then I still wouldn't have necessarily thought Ultraman is big.
yeah, I never thought that in my life. But I happened upon it about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I happened upon the Ultraman Rising thing via watching like a reaction streamer out there. And I was like, huh, this is interesting. And I've heard of Ultraman. Why not watch it now? So I watched the movie and I saw a couple of things in it where I was like, okay, this may be something to introduce. And by the time I finished, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna do this on the show. I like, I I thought it was interesting enough to talk about. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna introduce this to the show. I'm like, I doubt Bill's seen a lot of Ultraman as well, probably about as versed as I was, if not less so. And it seems that was the case based off of what you already said for what you were expecting
Yeah.
and everything. So yeah. Um I guess that said, we kind of touched on what we were expecting. I guess we'll just hop right into discussing the movie itself. So, movie starts, Bill. What are we thinking?
Well, I mean, as we just discussed, so yeah, we have to adjust to the fact that that this is a kaiju movie that we weren't necessarily anticipating. So I had that at first. Um, uh, really enjoy the opening scene in general, the tone that's set. Kind of already like is kind of getting Pixar-ish tones, or vibes from the tone, and getting like Spider-Man across the Spider-Verse
Yeah,
from the
animation.
animation style. Like
That's
like
what it. That's
like
what that reminds me of the Spider-Verse
the
stuff.
Spider-Verse and Star Wars Clone Wars had a baby.
Yeah,
Because Spider-Verse also has all this kind of stuff on top of it.
those like zoom
Uh,
ins with the background change,
right, and
like
they'll
that's very
have
Spider-Verse.
they'll have like there's a lot of complexities to the Spider-Man animation that isn't quite here, but still very interesting and like very sharp and clean.
Hmm. And I
Are
can see
kind
the
of the
Clone
things that I
Wars and
think
the
were
character design.
yeah.
Hmm. No,
So
that's a
those
very
are
good
kind of the things
analogy.
that I'm looking at in the opening.
Yeah. Yeah, it was because we had the little flashback. Dad is like, "Oh, Ultra Dad and baseball family." I think that'd be at least an easy brownie point there for the movie.
Yeah.
Uh, and and then I thought it was funny because one of the teams they kept talking about early on, because when they flash forward into the future, because our main character Ken, who's Ultraman's son, grows up and he's a baseball player. And apparently, he's a star player for the LA Dodgers, who
Yep.
real life just won the World Series. So it's
Yep.
also kind of topical in that regard.
They
So
also name checked Shohei Ohtani in his press conference. Well, they name checked Shohei. We all know
or
what that
Otani.
means.
He's like, yeah,
Yeah.
Otani can say whatever he wants. Right after he says
Yeah.
he's the best living baseball player, he's like, well, Otani can say whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And they make sure to mention about as many Japanese baseball players as they can because they definitely throw in Ichiro as well in a line somewhere else in there.
Matsui is a very famous.
Yeah.
Um yeah, I enjoy the baseball part of it. I don't think they needed to exaggerate his stats so
So
much.
crazy.
Like when she quoted a career 460 batting average and over 900 steals, um that's like ridiculous. That's on a ridiculous level. Like
Every other, that's
you can
almost
still
every
be
other pitch is a hit.
you can still be, oh my God, is he the greatest baseball player ever? And she says like 355 batting average with 500 steals. They could you could still be having that same conversation as an audience member.
You
That statement, that what that statement does, and we're kind of jumping around in the movie now. But what that statement does for me is for the rest of the movie, it makes me question anytime baseball is brought up, it makes me question if he is if he is human plus,
yes,
if not flat out superhuman.
I
And should this motherfucker be playing baseball?
as uneducated as I am with the Ultraman thing, I can only cite a comment I saw under that reaction video where someone was trying to explain that I believe that the Ultramen are like aliens, or at least the original Ultraman was
Uh-huh.
that came and eventually got with a human, and his son probably is human plus or superhuman, which is also why the one line later where it's like, "You're a fantastic baseball player, but you need to be Ultraman. Put
Uh-huh.
the baseball down. Just be Ultraman." Because yeah, but yeah, I also feel like he's cheating as well, especially when we get the at bat with the injured shoulder where he decides
I
to
mean, it's a great moment. It's a
it's
great moment.
fantastic.
That is, I mean, remove the remove the fantasy scenarios of a man changing sides in an at bat kind of thing, and suddenly batting from the right, and being able to hit a grand slam. Um, Remove that from the equation, and yet that is bottled up into a moment that is baseball. Like that is what's so great about baseball. They depict it so well, of just like that hanging on every pitch, and that silent anticipation as we're waiting. And like they did that moment very well in the classic. I mean, it's not like they invented it, but the moving around to the different versions of the way people watch the game,
Yeah,
and seeing them all stopping their lives to
here it comes.
yeah, that's a great moment.
And then the Grand Slam itself. That was cool. I did think it was funny that they go on the verge of you winning a championship or potentially having a championship run with the Dodgers. You leave to go to this team in a movie that was made this year, meaning he would have had to leave before this 2024 season, where headcanon in that universe, he gets replaced by Shohei Ohtani and they win. He left right before Ohtani showed up. Talk shit about Ohtani can say what he wants, but I'm the best baseball player. Ohtani wins the World Series. But to be fair, he wins his championship. He's just not the star anymore of his team.
Yeah, yeah, that I think that all sounds correct, Omari.
The timing of when they decided to do this is hilarious. That said, yeah, movie goes on. He's Ultraman and he sucks. Bottom line, it's 20 years later. He sucks at being Ultraman because he doesn't really care about being Ultraman for whatever reason. He's in Japan to help his dad because his dad's old now. And he's like, fine, I'll help my dad. My mom's missing anyway. I don't like this motherfucker. I got daddy issues. I gotta have issues with some parents if my parents are alive. That's just how movies work. I can't be alive with a happy family. No one cares about that. Gotta have drama. Nah, that said, typical issues early on. Um, we get, but yeah, we get the also we get the glimpse of his personality with that press conference that you mentioned, with
Right.
the reporter asking the question about his family, where they hint even more at this stuff.
Well,
Uh,
I think the big difference that we're meant to that we're meant to apply to the character in this beginning third here, is that one, he didn't have his father to, like, because of the estranged relationship, father hasn't been able to properly coach him to be Ultraman, so he literally just has this little floating ball while
a little Robo Mom.
yeah. Um, and then his father's bulk of his career when he was a child didn't have this government funded kaiju protection agency thing
Yeah, the
like he
KDF.
has. So he kind of has this out available to him
Hmm.
mentally to be like, well, they're figuring it out.
Yeah,
Like the floating ball says, of like, well, you know what happens when they figure it out,
they
they
killed
kill.
the kaijus.
Yeah, the Ultraman, the whole point of the Ultraman is that you just get it back to the island.
Yeah, and yeah, he just does not care. Eventually, we get Gigantron showing up, who made a appearance by name in the 20 years ago flashback. But
Uh-huh.
now we get it's a fucking dragon kaiju. Cooler fight going on with it.
Amazing entrance.
Amazing
Like
entrance.
what? Like man, the bitch makes an entrance. Man, like yeah. Over the skyline, over a baseball stadium, through black clouds and red lightning behind them. Yeah, I mean, really cool reveal of a character.
Yeah. And cool little fight, but at the end of the day, KDF shows up and they decide to go ahead and blow up Ultraman and Gigantron because he's trying to go with his dad's. They interrupt his baseball game for one, and then he is talking with his dad, and his dad's like, "No, get this thing out of here and get it out of there alive. They're going to kill it." Fine, I'll go try and talk with him. Diplomacy doesn't work. They blow up him and Gigantron because they're trying to deliver a package. Did you think what was in the package was going to be in the package? If that makes
I
any
mean, yeah, that
sense.
was kind of my first guess. Yeah,
Fair.
like usually animal protecting a thing. She was kind of cradling it. It was rock shaped.
Yeah, especially when she was like dying and she does the little like head thing. I'm like, okay, that's definitely an
Oh
egg.
yeah, by that point I was like, oh yeah, that's a
Yeah,
fucking
that's
egg.
definitely a fucking egg.
Did I
Uh
think that the entire movie was about ready to change? No.
yeah, it kept you guessing, didn't it? Because it kept me guessing when I first watched. I'm like, oh, this is a kaiju movie? Oh, it's a parenthood movie. I see. That said, it's a parenthood movie now. He's raising Gigantron's kid.
Fuck that. I want baseball players struggling to be Ultraman. I don't want baseball players struggling to be dad that we don't even really get baseball player. We really just get dad to a monster for like fucking 50 minutes. This movie should not be 2 hours.
I will agree with you on that one.
This movie should not be 2 hours. And I'm playing it up. And I'm going to get negative about this movie. But it's not a bad movie and I enjoyed myself. But fucking I don't want to see this movie. Like I don't want to
I would definitely prefer it to not have the parenthood part, but it was one of those
yeah.
things that was the only thing
Like
that
I can't
really,
say anything bad about what happened.
yeah.
Like the like it's a fucking cute ass baby. It does cute ass shit. They get you with the tear jerkers when they want to tear jerk you. It's an adorable fucking baby.
And a good shot
But I
into
don't
what
want that fucking
parenthood
baby
is.
here.
But yeah, that's not why I signed up to watch an Ultraman movie. It
And
was
I didn't
it.
sign up to it, but you had built to me a
I said it's
man
Ultraman.
struggles to be a to balance his superhero and
That's
baseball
not what I
life.
built up to you at all. I said,
Well, no, I'm not
oh,
saying you. I'm
no,
saying
sorry,
the
the
you is in the
movie.
movie.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. I didn't because you planned to watch the movie. I was assigned to watch the movie. So yeah, it was the movie was telling me
Yeah,
this was a man is going to fight different kaijus for the next hour and 15 minutes as he struggles to be a good teammate and good human being. Like
instead, here's a kid.
instead, here's a giant fucking baby.
And the funny thing about it is, I felt the same way like my first time through. There's a reason that I eventually decided to go ahead and suggest this, but I was on the fence for a good like half of watching the movie. Like, should I even bother suggesting this? Now, part of me was like, because there are times where you have been shown to be a bit more of a cathartic individual than I am when it comes to sappy moments in movies.
Uh-huh.
And so that's one of the things that kept it even on the table for as long as it did while I was watching. I'm like, Well, I know I'm not like, well, I'm not gonna, you explained it perfectly with the feelings of it, like everything that it's meant to hit emotion wise. If you're into those really emotional things and you're not necessarily here for the kaiju's,
Hmm.
you're gonna be perfectly fine with whatever just happened.
Yeah. I
Uh,
would say it is a little bit paint by numbers, and
yeah,
and the end one specifically is emotional manipulation. And although I will allow my body to fall for it, I am simultaneously not liking that you're making me do this to absorb to watch your movie. Because it's just like it's for him, the character in a televised interview to suddenly be like, "Hey, can I play one of my mom's
yeah, I
voicemails
didn't like
to
that.
the whole public?" Like, that it felt so forced as a way for us to get that narration going for the montage ahead of us. Um, that is our final meant to be a tier spot. Um, yeah,
No,
and
I
I
can
was
agree.
that in that one I was like fucking emotional manipulation, man. And then um I really don't appreciate double deaths from characters, and they almost gave this motherfucking father a triple death. Um, like it gets to a point where you've bled me dry and I don't care anymore. But you kill him, you kill him once, but then you give very specific lines and present him in a futuristic, health tube thing. And you give very specific lines in the movie of like, no, but he's okay. Or
Yeah,
not that he's okay, like,
but he's
but
recovering.
he's alive.
Yeah,
He's
he's
not
alive.
dead. When the movie was just 10 seconds ago telling you that this motherfucker was dead. Um, and then we have the moment where they steal the baby and fire rockets on the secret compound. And in the death of the little circle robot, they give you another father
My
is
my
dead.
sensors don't detect life.
And then finally, in the final fight, when they're fighting the head of the government agency in his giant mech suit, they do another moment of like, Dad's gonna do the sacrifice play, but then he doesn't die very quickly, and they do it the quickest of all three of them in that final one. He's like, no, I'm good, you just got to fight him now. And that's why I imagine that's why they did that, because they were on their fucking third death tease of this dude. And I usually don't approve of that. Like, if you give me a death tease of a character and then bring him back, that motherfucker needs to make it to the end. Like, don't tease a death and then like,
And then kill them later.
yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. Um uh but I think now we've hit all of my negatives. Again, very, very cute movie. Very, like, I think this is like, there are some movies that I like because I can only I can only allow the veil to be pulled so
So
far. And then at some point, I'm still an adult who's struggling with my view of movies and doing my movie math, like just been ranting about and all that. And there's some movies that I would really enjoy, like that really make me think of like, man, I wish I had like a like a little 6-year-old boy right here with me, watching this movie, like a son or a cousin or
yeah,
a little nephew or something, to watch this movie with, because I feel like they would be getting a big kick out of it. And you can get that supplemental joy.
yeah,
But as just an adult male sitting alone in the back room of his house watching this movie, I'm just like, oh, why couldn't I just have dude fights kaijus for an hour and a half while playing baseball. That's
That
that's what I was about
that
ready
that
to.
was that no yeah. Similar roller coaster for me of kaiju fights. And he fights early on, you're like, okay, yeah, this is the thing. And then he gets the egg and it's like, now I'm raising it. I'm like,
And honestly, I don't remember anything except for dad bits. I know other things happen, not a ton,
hmm.
but I only remember dad bits.
Yeah, they had like the different like parenting montage where they had the sad parenting montage where
Does
he
the
sucked at
kaiju even
baseball.
show up?
There's a one earlier. Uh I think that's the one that injures his shoulder, the one that he just lets the
Right, but
KD
after the
handle.
baby.
Then Gigant I'm thinking, sorry.
Oh yeah.
Uh then Gigantron. Then yeah, it's mainly parenting montage, teaching his daughter about baseball and them naming it daughter after the mom and all that. But yeah, it's mainly family drama. Then the baby escapes to the city and it's its own kaiju type situation, but it's not really solved by fighting. It's solved by take the fucking baby home after the baby gets tranquilized. But that's just a catalyst for the dad to come back in the story. Do the bingo was its Nemo thing to snap its arm back into place. Hell of a way to do that.
And then they're a team, and then it's the positive montage
Yeah.
of we're learning how to do this and we're getting good at it, and now we're a family.
And
All sweet
then
stuff.
Mina dies, and then the climax with Gigantron again, Mecha Gigantron,
Mecha Gigantron.
which, around when the movie starts becoming interesting again. Because I did like the way they did the attack on the dad and the cocoon for the second one with the missiles coming out of nowhere. Just like, I too would have preferred it if the dad just stayed dead at that point. Once the robot says, I detect no signs of life, okay,
I
well,
mean,
I gotta move
I
on.
like that the
I like
dad's
him
able to
coming back.
participate in the final fight.
I
Like
like
I would
him
just
coming
prefer
back,
not the
but I would
death
have
tease.
preferred, yeah, if the robot didn't say that, or like,
Yeah. The tube is cracked right behind him there, and you can see dad like just very loosely shuffling or something.
or like the
Like,
robot says something else that doesn't straight up mean death.
uh-huh.
Like it implies like, hey,
My life sign functions aren't working
yeah,
anymore.
my scanners aren't functioning. I cannot
Yeah.
scan for him. We have to hope or something like that.
Hmm.
And then he comes in ultra dad or whatever in the end and has that moment. I did, but that said, once the climax was going on, I did enjoy all of that. I also liked Mina's death scene because I don't know what
Yeah.
it is. Speaking of cliches that happen in movies, the protagonist and their best buddy, the AI, is a not talked about enough dynamic that exists, but it's a tried and true that almost always works. Probably
Mhm.
because they can be as mean or affectionate as they want to one another with no real consequences. Like the
Yeah.
robot can talk shit, you can talk shit. You guys can't really affect one another for real, for real.
It's like pure honesty
Yeah,
too. Yeah, it's
I don't know.
that was probably my most genuine I didn't actual tear in any of these spots, but
Same.
the tear moments, the moments that could have happened, that was the I felt the most earned, the most genuine one
Well, that's his
of them
like
all.
closest companion aside from the baby.
Yeah.
And yeah, she gets her little motivational speech and death montage. And then we get the climax. Let's fight Mecha Gigantron. And, the baby's convinced that it's the mom because of Project Surrogate. We get that mentioned throughout the movie. Villain also has a little bit of humanization added to him
Yep,
in
because
there with the whole
we gotta we gotta humanize our villains.
every villain now.
It's the 2020s. That's like what we gotta do is every villain has to be no, see, here's the reason why they're
His
angry.
wife died. His wife and kid died. And then,
Wouldn't
but he's
you be
also
mad?
he's
Wouldn't
still
you
a
want to
nice
stop
person.
kaijus?
He still
Wouldn't
cares
you
about his
be mad at
subordinates.
Ultraman?
He still cares about his subordinates. He told them all to get off the ship.
Sometimes it's okay to just have a Joker. That's, hey, I exist, I wreck shit.
Well, if you want to talk about 2024, apparently we're not allowed to have a Joker these days. The Joker's got to be a misunderstood person. I was
Well,
against that
again,
movie from the.
that's why I don't really subscribe to those two movies. The
I
first,
didn't
I
watch
haven't
the
seen the
first one.
second one. I haven't seen the second one yet, but the first one was a fine, interesting film if it was called Crazy Man Who Lives in New York.
Arthur,
Or literally anything else, but
Clown
hey,
Man.
this is DC Comics presenting Joker. Um,
Yeah, I'm like, I don't need
that's
to
the
feel sorry for the goddamn Joker.
I want Joker to just be he has one single origin story in the comic books, and they don't even really refer to that as canon. Because isn't that
Like, Ledger is about the closest to a misunderstood individual Joker that I want to get.
yeah. And he has zero backstory, zero origin. You have no idea how he got there. Is he from Gotham? Did he come to Gotham? I don't care.
How did
Joker
he
is
actually get the scars?
he
Who
is
knows?
chaos. He is
Yeah,
chaos incarnate, and I just want him to fuck shit up.
and sometimes
Um,
it's okay to have one of those.
yeah. Yeah, like we said, it's 2024, and it's it's a family movie, so we're gonna humanize the villain as much as possible. However, I do appreciate that they did let the villain die,
Yes.
because they could have not done that, and so at least they went there at first. As first when Ultraman started sprinting towards them, I thought he was going
Was
to
it like rip out the.
shenagle some sort of and I turned off the bomb. You're going to jail, sir. Or the this agency is getting shut down. Something like that. Um, but no, they let the villain die, and yeah, I
The
wasn't expecting
agency,
them
I
to do
think,
that.
keeps going too. One of the things, speaking of that part, the right before it, like, so they're fighting Mecha thing. It turns out the real Gigantron's under there, Project Surrogate, whatever. So baby's happy to be reunited with mom, and we very quickly turn around that, like, oh well, that's the mom. The second we saw the harbor break, baby Echo locates at it, and it's like, I'm snapped out of mind control, and I'm like, all of these kaiju battles are getting solved very quickly. Can we get an actual like fight, and that's when the dude decides to tell everybody to get off the ship, and the airplane turns into a fucking mech, and we get
Yeah.
our actual final boss fight. First, he shoots a giant fucking laser from the ship, then he turns it into a mech, and it's like. Oh, so this is where we go. That's the second swerve that eventually convinced me. You know what? I will suggest this. We got
It's a good final fight. It's a good final fight from that point forward, and seeing the development of the teamwork that becomes the two Ultramen and the two dragons. And like the impressiveness of this fucking mech and this old dude
yeah. He
driving
was
it,
holding his
that
own
they
for a
literally need
minute.
two Ultramen and two dragons to even like go toe to toe with this dude. Um so yeah, it's a pretty good final fight there for that like that 3 minute, 5 minute chunk, whatever it is.
Yeah, he was impressive. Like you said, he was holding his own for more than a minute, just knocking the thing. Dragon jumps on his back, starts breathing. He shoots some shit off, and he's like, "Ah!"
Well, you see, Omari, he had motivations because a kaiju
Killed his wife
killed
and kid.
killed his wife and kid. If you haven't heard,
Yeah, and then he almost
we're gonna tell
kills,
you. We're gonna tell you like 3 times,
including after he loses,
just in
because
case you
he
forget.
watches another video of the last time he talked to them, and he
So,
goes, "Soon."
so
And yeah, he self destructs. Like you said, they let him self destruct. They just shield the blast. Dude injures his arm, wins the Japan series, the championship. Sorry,
by not
Japan.
playing, even I think is the
I'm assuming.
context.
Yeah, I'm assuming with the broken
Context
arm.
there, like which I mean, that's traditionally like if you played a single game
throughout the
in the
season.
regular season of a championship winning team. Usually you'll receive a ring
Yeah,
and you'll be called a champion because
you're on the team.
who
You
knows how your
contributed.
involvement, yeah, butterfly effect. You
Hmm.
not being on the team in that one game may have meant that we
Things go different.
didn't even make the
Or
playoff.
yeah. Or yeah, you not getting injured doesn't mean your replacement doesn't come in and play his ass off to keep us to the championship.
Yeah. Yeah, you never know. You never know. That's baseball, baby.
You know. And that is also Ultraman, unless you got anything else you want to talk
No,
about.
no, no, no. I
Yeah.
think we covered it.
Yeah.
Nice.
There you have it. So Bill, what else have you watched? Shit.
All right. Well, I mean, I just finished watching this and I was in a little bit of a kiddie mood.
All
And we
right.
also have oh goodness. We also have football season nearing some very important times in the schedule.
Oh
Um
yeah. Entering the third trimester.
so I am going to show us Little Giants.
Little
Should
Giants.
be a really fun time. I'm excited about it.
It's about football, apparently. I thought it was about baseball. We'll get into that, I guess, next week. In the meantime, you can catch some of our other sports related things, as well as other kids' movies, as well as other. Do we have any kaiju stuff on this channel? If not, we will eventually. Check it out on this show on Tuesdays. We also have on Wednesdays the Whatever We Want podcast sometimes with a good friend of mine, good friend of the show, Super Jazz. We talk about.
Super Jazz.
Thank you very much. If nature intended, we talk about just that, whatever we want. On Mondays, we have a show called Mock Draft, where we mock some drafts of things of various categories numerous times whenever we feel like. Also have a running fantasy wrestling thing going on there, which will have an episode soon because we're coming up to a checkpoint. Survivor Series around the corner. Also on Saturdays, Bill and I have a show called You Don't Watch Sports. Two guys, three topics, help you sprinkle a little information into your sports conversation and be your guiding light to see that it's casual sports talk. I also have a Twitter and Twitch at Giotavi. That is Giotavi. Come on in, stop on by. Streaming every day, 240. You know what that means. Anyway, Bill, you got anything you want to say to the folks?
Yes, we have covered a kaiju movie, the greatest kaiju of them all, Jesus Christ Superstar. Praise be to him.
All right. Thanks, guys, very much. We'll see you next week with Little Giants. Speaking of big, adiosness.